Something strange has happened to growing up, and I've noticed it through a lot of young kids, and specifically around the era of 2008 to 2005, even growing up. You see, young people have more ways than ever to communicate, socialize, and learn and entertain themselves, and yet many of them are becoming increasingly disconnected from the physical world around them. Instead of meeting people, they're meeting them through screens. Instead of going somewhere, they log into somewhere. Instead of experiencing rejection, boredom, awkwardness, and failure in real life, they can simply close the application and move on. Video games and social media aren't inherently evil. The problem begins when the digital world becomes easier and more rewarding than reality itself. And this is happening at an extremely alarming rate, as one of the most important institutions for social development, school, is becoming increasingly disconnected from human relationships it has and was supposed to create. Teachers are overwhelmed with testing requirements, documentation, grading, administrative work, and an enormous number of assignments. AI is now entering the process as a shortcut for both sides. Students can ask AI to write the assignment. Teachers can use the software to process and grade the assignments. Students learn that school is about producing something that has to be submitted, even if it means learning nothing. Teachers are increasingly forced into managing the paperwork surrounding education rather than having the time to actually build relationships with the students. And suddenly, both sides are doing the same thing. They're using technology to get through the system instead of participating in the system. That's the deeper problem. School wasn't supposed to be a digital document processing center. It was supposed to be one of the few places where a young person was forced to interact with dozens of people they didn't choose and learn how to cooperate with someone you disliked, learn how to speak publicly, you learn how to handle embarrassment, you learn how to lose, you learn how to argue without destroying a relationship, and you learned how to take criticism from an authority figure. You learned how to sit through some of the thing that was really boring and still finish it. And that wasn't merely academic skills, they're basic skills of adulthood. But if an adolescence increasingly happens through social media, gaming, algorithmic entertainment, and automated education, we're removing many of the environments where those skills were meant to develop. And we wonder why young adults struggle with loneliness, anxiety, motivation, social interaction, and entering the workforce. The problem isn't that young people are uniquely lazy, they're adapting to the environment we've built for them. We've built an environment where almost everything can be optimized to eliminate discomfort. Want to go get some burgers? Just ask DoorDash or Uber Eats. Want to talk about your problems? There's now AI therapists that could be completely wrong and not documented as a doctor. You don't know something? You ask AI. Are you bored? You open up TikTok. Are you lonely? You open up Discord. Are you rejected on a Tinder, Swipe, Bumble? I don't know. Swipe again. Do you want to do the assignment? You just generate it. You don't want to read the assignment? Summarize it. You don't want to interact with a student? You just automate the process and ask them to turn it in on Google Drive. And eventually, reality becomes the one environment that hasn't been optimized for convenience. Reality still requires patience, still requires rejection, still requires showing up, and it still requires dealing with people. And reality still also means requiring doing things that are immediately rewarding. And that's precisely why reality is becoming harder for some people to tolerate. The danger isn't that Gen Z or the generation after it will become unemployable simply because they use technology. The danger is that we could produce generations of people who are technologically sophisticated but socially underdeveloped. People who can communicate with thousands of strangers online but struggle to talk to the person sitting next to them. People who can generate a perfect resume but struggle to survive the interview. People who can build an online identity but haven't developed much of an identity outside of the internet. And perhaps the most disturbing part is that the institutions responsible for teaching these skills are beginning to adopt the same philosophy. The student wants to automate the school, the teachers wants to automate grading, the administration wants to automate assessment to continue getting government grants, and everyone ends up interacting through systems designed to measure human beings rather than actually understand them. Maybe the real crisis isn't artificial intelligence. Maybe AI is just simply exposing something that we've already seen broken. And it's that we've spent almost decades, probably close to 2 decades now, building a society that makes digital life easier than real life. And we were suddenly surprised when people choose this easier world. The question isn't whether we should destroy technology, even though Ted Kaczynski is kind of right. It's whether we're still capable of building communities, schools, and workplaces and relationships that aren't completely destroyed by technology overtaking it all, and that are compelling enough to make people actually want to come back to reality. And so far, reality for at least young people is really freaking bleak.